Welcome back to another rendition of the Life Partner TV show. I am your host, Dr. Mario Torres-Leon. And as I like to say every single time that we have a special edition of the HPS, or what we know here as the Human Power Series, I get extremely excited. And the reason is there is more than 8 billion of us in the planet. And I am never as amazed as I get to experience myself being in amazement as it is the case when I have a guest that comes for the Human Power Series. It's truly an honor. And today, I have a really special woman and a dear member of the Alive community, and her name is Mrs. Mary Hiestand. And Mary came to our community through another member in our community who told her about one of our experiential courses, the 28-day Gratitude Launchpad, which we also know in short for the GL28 program. And she basically followed that guidance that she had, and felt inspired to join us and be part of the prior cycle of the GL28 program. There is something really magnificent and powerful about Mary, and she'll be able to share this with us today, which was evident from the get-go, from the very first moment that we had the opportunity to get together as a community in that program. And it was her degree of courage, vulnerability, willingness to meet anything and everything that was coming up for her in that moment. Mary is no stranger to danger, as I like to say, because she has been a seeker, like many of the people who are part of our community, who have had the awareness whether something happened in their lives, an event that triggered this, or they just, since they were really young, they knew that there was something more to life than the way that they were just witnessing through the eyes, and their senses were telling them otherwise. Mary fits the bill for one of those special members who, since actually birth, as you will hear, had similar experiences where she was being guided and she had awareness that there was a much bigger reality to just what was being experienced by the senses. She is the owner of the business called Angelic Light Alchemy. Did I get that right?
That's correct, yes.
Angelic Light Alchemy, which it's as we were talking before this recording, the letters that form that acronym is actually ALA or Allah, which is actually a wing. And isn't that something interesting that will actually play a role in this conversation today? But Mary, I want to extend the warmest of welcomes to you today, and also to come to you with deep gratitude for your generosity, sharing your life story and your time. I know you're really busy. It took a while to actually come together to do this. So thank you for being here. We're deeply honored to have you.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you, Mary. Mary, let's jump into this. Your life story and journey is fascinating, but not fascinating in the sense of a made-up story. No, like compelling, palpably real, honest. And I'm going to invite you to share some of that journey of some of the things that pretty much you were navigating through life before eventually being welcomed by the Alive community.
Yes. Well, I actually came into this world in pain. It was a birth that was traumatic, not only for me as a child, a baby, but my mom also. And my head was severely damaged at birth. And it was damaged, unfortunately, by the doctor with forceps. And I actually died temporarily. And I have had distinct memory of two angels coming in and breathing life into me. They actually came in and did this through my ears. And I came back. And they said it was an absolute miracle that I made it. They actually did not let my mom see me for 2 days when I was born. In this day and age, that wouldn't happen. But they whisked me off and told my mom that if this hematoma on my head did not go down, they were going to have to airlift me somewhere for emergency, services. And my parents were in a religion at the time where they did not believe in going to doctors. It was Christian Science, and so everything was done through prayer. And miraculously, I survived all of this. The hematoma went down, and they took me home before the designated time that the doctors thought, that I would be going home. So it was said that it was miraculous. And because I have this memory of the angels coming in, I have known throughout my entire life, even as a small child, that my life was guided by angels and that I had this deep connection with them. And everything in my life was about connecting to them, even to this day. And so they guide me in everything I do. I have conversations with them, I talk to them. They guide me in my healing practice with my clients. And it's been a beautiful gift. And I'm so grateful, that I have that relationship. And it really has been life altering, life changing. And it's something that has been such a huge blessing, for me to have that guidance.
Mary, thank you for sharing that. As I hear you, one of the awarenesses that comes in for me is this common thread of certain community members that we have that are on a healing arts journey path, professional inclinations or aptitude for service, let's say, like it's
Yes.
been your case with the angelic light alchemy practice that you
Yes.
operate. And what's also interesting and relevant when I think of you as a member of this community, and I think about some of our other members who have similar aptitudes too, is that there's an incident that marks us. I see myself in that group too, and sometimes we actively or unconsciously dismiss our gifts,
Yes.
but
Absolutely.
somehow
It comes
events,
back.
yeah, they come back, and there's certain incidents that are coming, and it's almost like if you want to run in that direction, we'll do a lot of things to remind you that this is your path over here.
Yes.
Can you speak to some of those incidences that have happened in your life that you're like,
Sure.
yes, I can totally relate to that?
Absolutely. Well, as a child, my parents did not know what to do with me. I was very claircognizant. I had the gift of clear knowing as a child. And I also felt for some reason that I had to take on an adult role in my family as a child. And that doesn't go over too well, and sometimes. So um, I would tell my parents exactly the way I saw things, even as a young child. And the filter was not there on my mouth. And so I would get in trouble. But later on, my parents would start coming to me and say, "You were right. You know, we don't know how you're doing this, but your guidance was right." One of the key markers for my dad accepting who I was he was department head of a university music department. He was a music professor, and he had a new hire coming onto the staff, and he and his wife were invited to my parents' house for dinner. And as we sat around the table, I was picking up information. It's not that I was invasively trying to hone into this man and what he was thinking, but it was just coming into me. I was picking up that my dad was going to have difficulty with him down the road, and that there would be a situation where my dad would literally feel backstabbed by this person. So I was in high school at the time. After they left, I told my dad, "Dad, you need to watch your back with that man. He's going to stab you in the back." And he rolls his eyes at me, right? So dad's like, "Oh, there she goes again," right? So sure enough, an incident happened. He was stabbed in the back. My dad was felt betrayed. He came home and he said to me, "You were right. I don't know how you do this, but you were right." So things like that happened throughout my childhood and later on, as I grew up. And my parents came to realize finally that I was wired differently than the rest of the family. And I spent so much time being told I was overly sensitive because I am an empath. I can feel when I work with my clients, I can feel what's going on in their body, in my body. I can tell them, "Okay, there's something happening in your lungs. I can feel it. And sometimes this information drops in before I even work with them. And then I have to determine, is this mine or somebody else's? It's very important. But anyway, to make a long story short, I spent a lot of time tapping my gifts down because I was held in judgment of being too sensitive. I heard this over and over from friends, from family. I need to toughen up. I need to do this. I need to do that. So then I became, in my awareness, feeling like my gift and my gifts were, what is the word? Some people say that being empathic is it's like a curse if you're overly sensitive, that kind of thing. I never felt that way, but all the judgment on me made me feel like I was so different. I just shut this all down for a long period of time. And then I was married for 28 years to a man that was bipolar and had a lot of mental health issues. And during that time, I felt I lost myself in trying to help him. And once again, I shut my gifts down, and I became so shut down, I didn't even know that I was shut down. That's how shut down I was. And so this is kind of an abbreviation of things, but just some key points where I did shut myself down and shut my gifts off. And then I came to the conclusion one day that I had to save myself, and that if my husband didn't want to participate in his own wellness, it was about me. I had to save myself. We can only help and support others so much, and it's not up to us to try and force them into a certain journey or path that if they don't want it for themselves, we have to surrender them to our creator, to a higher power, to God, what the universe, whatever you want to call it. There is a greater power than us, than our human ego, in trying to help people sometimes. And that surrender is so important. And so I surrendered him. And we spent 11 years on the road to Stanford dealing with his cancer. It was a rough journey. It was a very rough journey. And he was not treating my son and I well during this time. And I woke up another morning and decided, once again, I've got to save myself. Well, this was a hard one. I decided I had to step out of the marriage because I knew if I didn't, I was going to die or go down with the ship. Something drastic was going to happen because I had stored so much in my body. And so, and this was also part of my guidance from my angels and God, in that I also knew we had many lifetimes together, some good, some abusive, and that this time I came to literally tear up the contract of abuse with him that had gone on before. And so I stepped out of the marriage and once again received a lot of judgment from the community we lived in. At that time, we were both music teachers for a um, um, middle school and high school program in a very small community, and people knew us. Um, we were loved, and when when the word came out that I had left him, literally walked away from my house and everything I owned, and I went to another place and rented. I left everything behind. That was my way of just saying, none of this material thing matters to me. This is about me coming back to me, finding my space, finding my way. I walked away from everything. And I will tell you this, one of the reasons I stayed so long was to at least give my son a foundation to a certain point where I felt then I could, release him and he would be okay. And he's done really well. He's adult now. But so anyway, moving on, I hope I'm not talking too long about this, but it's all part of it. But so I knew I had to go through the divorce because part of my journey and my guidance from my team was that I had to do this. I had to break that contract. So I stepped out, even though the fear was overwhelming, to be on my own after all that long. And I got through it. I found a place to live right next to the high school I was teaching at. Things unfolded for me in a way that I cannot express. So fast forward, he passed away in 2012, which was very difficult for my son, for myself. It was hard. Um, but what I will tell you is my prayer had been 2 years prior that I would be able to start my healing practice, because I always knew at some point my goal would be to be in service to other people, because I love serving even to the point of giving too much of myself away. And that's another thing I've worked on, is coming back to me in all of this. But I really, really wanted to do that. And so I started studying different healing modalities, and it was just an amazing journey, learning all these different things and absorbing them and making them mine, and also listening to my team that, well, we're working with you too. We'll be guiding you every step of the way. So after he passed, this was the most remarkable moment.
Mm.
My son and I went back to the family house to clean it out. I did not know how that I could retire from teaching early to start my practice in any way. And as we were cleaning out the house, I found a document on the paper, or excuse me, on the dining room table, where he had left me on his retirement as beneficiary. I was in complete shock because we were divorced at that time. And so I was speechless, and I almost couldn't let myself believe it, because it was too good to be true, because this was going to allow me then to retire early with less teacher's retirement for me, and then have his, and I could start my healing practice.
Wow.
So I called up what they call CalSTRS in California, which is the teachers um, organization for retirement, and they said, yes, you're the beneficiary, you're on it. So I started crying and weeping. My son's jumping up and down because he knew how important this was to me, to get out and be of service to people. And we both started crying. I could not believe this. But I will tell you, because I listened to divine guidance and I followed the path, my life opened up in a way I could not script. And I was able to purchase a home in Pismo Beach, where I have always dreamed of living. My every time my husband and son and I came down to Pismo Beach from what we call North County, we lived and taught in Paso Robles. I actually lived in Tascadero, which was another community. I would say, I'm going to live there someday. I love this area. I'm going to live here. I had forgotten that dream. And then when it came time for me to purchase a new home, because I had retired early. And when I came to look, my son said to me, I was looking in another community and we weren't finding anything. I said to my son, my dream was always to live in Pismo Beach. And he said, well, why can't you, Mom? Why can't you live there? I go, you're right. This is my dream. The next weekend, I found my home. The market was low, and thus the unfolding. And this was a place of sanctuary for me, of healing, not only for me, but healing for my clients. So I just bring that up, in that maybe somebody else can have a glimmer of hope in a time of, darkness or dark night of the soul, that things can turn around if you trust and you listen to your guidance and the divine. It can unfold in ways you cannot script if you release that human ego and let your guidance, take over. And it also comes with surrender too, you know. So it was an amazing thing that I arrived here where I still am. And just, I used to cry when I would drive down here before I moved to my house, because I couldn't believe it was happening. I had to pinch myself. It was my dream. So it was amazing, amazing journey to go through all of that and find, my place. So
Mary, in this incredible story that you're sharing, and it's profound. Thank you for being so vulnerable and open, because I'm sure that there's many people watching this that can relate to your story in many elements of what you're sharing. There's a couple of things that I am aware of that are common elements for many of us in the community. One is this aspect of suppressing your gifts for a multitude of circumstances. We're not judging it, but just having the awareness that it's uncomfortable to know what you know, to feel what you feel, to have the awareness of being different, and
yeah,
having this kind of zigzagging navigation through life of trying to figure out, how do I fit these gifts? How do I embrace them fully so I am not shaming myself or being shamed or feeling embarrassed for the fact that you're different from those who are not aware that that's also something that lives within them, but they have not been able to tap into that. That's one piece that was really strong in your journey. Then life is presenting opportunities for you to undeniably step into it.
Yes.
It's this massive calling. But then there's the other aspect, which is we haven't touched on in your life journey, which is also common in people that are in the healing arts that have gifts like yourself. It is the aspect of the healer needing to be healed because they start to experience profound dis-ease,
Yes.
diagnosis,
Yes.
and then it puts the healer in the state of what's going on here. It's confusing. But the preceding piece to that degree of confusion and dis-ease is that there has been this blocking of receiving the gifts and acting upon them, even though you're getting all the signals from all sorts of angles every year in your life that that's really what your soul is calling you to do.
Yes. Absolutely.
What happened to Mary
Yeah.
along the way when it came to her health? Because you were giving and taking care
Yes.
of this, and I'm going to take care of that. But nowhere in that story until the death of your husband, which is a gift because of what there was a moment of acknowledgement through his death, through his passing, as we know it in the physical world, in really giving this to you and to your son. There's
Yes.
an acknowledgement of how important you were to him. And as I interpret that, there's a message of gratitude in his very own way in yielding that and giving that to you and really acknowledging you by establishing that receiving all of that pension and so on as a form of saying you took care of me, you were
Yes.
able to deal with me through all of the challenges that he was having in his own condition and nature, and now suddenly you're here, but there's other things that are happening in your health that are very loud.
Yes. Yes. So, because I suppressed, all the anxiety, the angst, the upset throughout my marriage, and also through the time he had the cancer, I ended up with arthritis in the body. I actually had both of my knees replaced um, back in 2014, and honestly, I could have had them done in my late 30s. That's how bad they were, and I put it off because I was afraid, and I thought I had to heal them um, through prayer. And so finally, one one of my mentors said to me, I call it the cosmic 2x4 on the head. She bonked me over the head and she said, Mary, what does it matter if you receive the healing through the surgeries or prayer? You need relief. You need to get this done so you can go on with your life. And I went, oh my gosh, you're right.
Mm.
So I finally had the surgeries and I got through it. Everything worked great. And the night before I had the surgery, I had a dream. I was shown that the Archangel Uriel was going to be working with the surgeon. I saw the angels already in the surgical room, and I knew I was protected and it was going to be okay, and it was. Um,
Wow.
but so yes, my body has been full of pain and autoimmune issues, and it would come and go. I would receive help. I would get better temporarily, but it's come and go. And then this last year, I walked through another dark night of the soul in that I had come off time of caring for my mother, which was very difficult. Towards the end, she just was not in a place where she could be kind, and I was the one taking care of her, and it was difficult. And at the time I was not receiving any help from anybody else in the family and all except judgment. So I had to let that all go. That was hurtful, but I also experienced great loss over this last year. There were probably a total of 8 people that had passed away that I had known in my life, and that was very hard on me, very painful even though I have this view of the afterlife. I know we're not truly separated, but it's hard in the 3D to let go of people, and I was just very sad. So I never really had experienced, even from the time I moved here in 2012, a time a time for me to concentrate on me. It was like, even though I moved through the transition of the passing of my husband, the divorce prior, moving here, then my mother, then all these other things that happened, losing two beloved animals that I'd had for 18 and 18 and a half years. It was overwhelming to me. And I had been stuffing down all these feelings. It's like gripping the earth with all I had to keep moving forward, just to get through and do what I needed to do. I'm very strong. I can take a lot, but there's a point where you need to say, okay, enough is enough, girl. Stop. But the pain was just too much that I was stuffing down. And so I numbed myself down, and I didn't realize how much I was adding. It's like a pressure cooker. It's like, I'm lucky to be here, actually. So I woke up one morning, this last December 2024. My son and I, we get together every year at Christmas and go up to Lake Tahoe. And I woke up one morning in the most excruciating pain I have ever had in my life. I was bent over. There was pain in my shoulders. The muscles in my arms and hands and wrists were not working. I could not lift my arms up very far. The pain in my hands and my wrists was excruciating. I didn't understand what was going on. And what was interesting is it was horrendous in the mornings, and then it would taper off at night. I didn't understand any of it. So we came home, and I went to the emergency room. By the way, both of my doctors were out of, they weren't on call, and they were out of town. So there were other people on call who weren't making quite the right decisions for me. So I ended up going to the emergency room, was diagnosed with what they call polymyalgia rheumatica, which is what all the pain was. And it affects muscles. So I had lost the strength. I couldn't even use my hands to like even hold a pen, open a jar, anything like that. So anyway, my son, which was very kind of him and very sweet, he took care of me for about a month, and his boss was kind enough to let him stay here for a few weeks with me, work from here. And then I went up to the Bay Area with him, where he cared for me there till I could use my hands again, and I was able to drive home, which did happen. So then from that point, and also when my doctor came back on board, he was instrumental in helping me get through this, which was really great. And he agreed with the diagnosis that came in. But it really was a dark night of the soul, and the realization that I had to do things differently. I could no longer allow numbness to reside in my body, and I had to address the pain in my body and what it meant to me. So I was receiving messages from my angels, from my guides, from my creator, that something new would be coming in and teaching me how to deal with this and how to deal with pain in the body. That would be new, and that it would be life altering. I had been getting this message for a while. And so my dear friend Tina Marie, who's also part of this beautiful GL28 community and has been a friend of mine for many years. I trained in integrated energy therapy with her. She actually certified me in it, and that's how I came to know her, and then some other teachings that I loved at the time. So she and I became very good friends, and she put out a storyline on Facebook about the gratitude launchpad GL28, and explained her a little bit about her experience about it. And I didn't, totally understand what all it involved, but I just knew I had to show up. I knew that I had to do something differently. And I knew that somehow this is going to be the vehicle that would help me propel me forward in a way that would be life altering. So coming into the GL28 and the gratitude community was life altering for me. And I did not realize I would step up and participate in such a just like wide open way that I did, um, on one of our live sessions, what happened was, and it was life changing for me. We Part of this beautiful community is we meet with Dr. Mario for live sessions, and he speaks with us, shares his wisdom with us, and then we have a chance to be in the healing seat where we can share and open up. And that day, I listened to, I think, one or two people, and I knew I was going to do this. And it was almost like there was a force propelling me beyond, my humanness, which was kind of like, oh my gosh, do I want to do this?
Mary, before you go into that,
Yes,
I want you to bring something to this that adds a huge dimension to your story, which is incredible. Yes, you had awareness of your gifts. Yes, you had awareness that this somehow would play out in your life at one way or another. You perhaps didn't know exactly how, but there was something saying this will come back to me somehow. But along the way, something that is remarkable about your story too is that curiosity and that seeker in you also was doing other courses and really
yeah,
developing your faculties further.
yes, taking many, many.
Tell me, share with the audience some of the things that you were doing, because one of the things that makes your story really powerful, it's not like, oh, I'm a healer and then, I'm going to heal people. No, you had your intuitive gifts, and you invested time in
Absolutely.
furthering the connection with your inner gifts that were there since you were born, essentially. What
Yes.
are some of those things? Because that really speaks to what will happen then once you come to the community.
Yes. So, so to precede that, my background was music. I have my master's degree and taught music in the public schools, high school and middle school for 36 years, and always knew that, and I started young, I always knew that at some point I wanted to go into working with people, being of service, being in the healing business to really embrace people and help them. And so my first opening for taking courses was my mother actually had taken Reiki and suggested I take Reiki. So I did. I became a Reiki master, and then I also have certified many people in Reiki.
Mm.
Um, I also um, trained in integrated energy therapy with Tina Marie, and also took all of the classes and also have certified people in that healing modality too. I studied extensively past life sessions, how to conduct them, how to work with people to take them back to a past life that could, that maybe they brought things into this lifetime that needed healing from other past lives. So I trained in that extensively, and that was an amazing journey. Um, I also have done a lot of work in entity removal in people, helping them to find freedom from attachments. um, I have studied color therapy in regards to how the energy of color can help people. Um, I'm, as you can tell or probably deduce from what I've said, I'm very, very intuitive. And so I also do readings for people if they call me up and they need guidance. It's not about predicting the future. It's about talking to my angelic team, bringing forth the messages that will help them in the moment of now so that they can self heal also. I truly believe that we were designed to self heal, that that's what it's about. So there's other things that I've studied. I've done extensive study in many different modalities and, created a container where literally when somebody comes to me, I go with the guidance from my support team as to what we will help them and support them with. Um, so with that being said, where should I go now?
So this is a great background, because clearly not only were you intuitive and had those gifts when you were born and had the awareness when you were really young, but you also developed yourself along the way. Now, you come to this moment in your life journey. You're struggling with all of these different physical ailments, and a lot of them related to this giving nature. suppressing a lot of the emotions, as you were saying, and stuffing them down, I think is the word that you used, if I remember correctly. Taking care of others from things that were really emotionally charged, energetically pretty heavy. And now you come to a point in your life where you have amassed all of these things that have not been taken care of because you've been taking care of everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
And Mary is last, which is not uncommon for healers.
Right.
Very common.
Yeah.
So now the giver has not been receiving. And the lack of that cycle of reciprocity, that torus of giving and receiving is impeded, and you're recognizing something has to shift. You said it very well yourself. Tina offers this message about this thing. You don't know what it is. Something inside of you is telling you, there's something here. I need to follow my guidance. Your guides are telling you, yes, there's more to this. You have to go in this direction. And now suddenly you come into the community in the very first day of our kickoff call. You get inspired by others and clearly by your own drive of what you were aware of and your guides. And you basically volunteer to take a seat in the healing seat.
Yes. Yes.
Walk us through what started to happen on day one of that 28 days. For all of you watching this show, you're watching another episode of Alive Partner TV with Dr. Mario Torres-Leon and my really special guest, Mrs. Mary Hiestand. And we've been talking about her life journey and everything that was happening to her. And now she is at the point of the story where she comes to the GL28 program. She is one courageous human being and super powerful. She says, I'm moving forward. I don't know, but I'm going to do this. And then on day one, what happened, Mary?
Okay. So what happened is when I started really coming into a space of being grateful for my life again and allowing myself to feel again, which happened gradually during this time, it was life-changing for me because it allowed me to break through this physical pain I was feeling and led me to feeling that I could take the healing seat and be completely vulnerable and transparent. And I shocked myself. I sat down and it just rolled out. So the beauty in this, and I will say too, I had raised my hand and you didn't see it. And one of the members in the group, you asked, is there anyone that we missed? And my ego is like, okay, you can't do this. He didn't see you, take a step back. I'm getting scared, So anyway, one of the members of the group spoke up and said, oh, Mary had her hand up. And then there I was, right? So anyway, I was in a place where I knew I had to do this and I needed to be vulnerable. I needed to be honest and let go of all of this. And I felt held in this container. I felt supported before I even opened my mouth up. I knew that what we did in this group was life altering and life changing, even though I had not seen my miracles happen yet, but I knew it was a container of safety, support, and love. It truly was. And compassion, people witnessing us, those of us that spoke and shared, being witnessed and seen and acknowledged for who you are is so important, especially when you have deliberately spent time stuffing down and hiding who you are because of judgment from others. So to be able to open up was huge for me. So I shared my story and I shared what I had gone through since December, that this was a very dark time for me, many people passing away. I cried. And then the support came in, and your support and the way you led me through the rest of the experience in the healing seat was absolutely amazing in helping the healing to come in and solidify within me. So I was able to release so much out of this body. And this is part of what GL28 is about, is identifying where we are holding on to feelings and pain and all the stuff that we don't want in the body, letting it go, and then sending the gratitude to that area. And that is the key. That is the key. That is what and where and when the healing comes through, is when we let that gratitude live in our bodies. And I will tell you, I grew up because of the religion I was raised in. We were taught to not acknowledge the body and be in the body. It was so difficult for me. I never felt comfortable in the religion that I was raised in because we were ignoring the body. So that's part of the reason too why I ignored my body and my feelings for so many years. I had to work through that. And this coming into the GL28 was like the final push to get me on the path of the healing that I needed. And after I was in the healing seat, I will tell you, the pain left my body. I was still in a healing mode when I started day one of GL28, where I still have pain that I was working through. I still had a journey in front of me, but the acceleration of the healing was profound after I was in that healing seat. And the pain just started slipping away from my body. There has been gradual and also accelerated, improvement in my health. And I literally had gone from not being able to lift anything, raise my arms up, use my hands, write with a pen, open a jar, to I'm back on board. I'm seeing my clients again. I'm doing my life again. And on top of it, I adopted a beautiful little rescue dog who has given me so much joy. And that joy has also helped, bringing this beautiful little creature in my life. And so I cannot tell you how grateful I am. And it's just been amazing, just an amazing journey.
Mary, your story is really powerful, and it's beyond powerful because this healing journey, as you said, really got accelerated in unprecedented ways for somebody who's a healer herself, who's been assisting many people before. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And it started, I wouldn't say it started to happen. It got accelerated because you're already on a healing journey of sorts prior
Yeah,
to
yeah,
arriving, right? So everything got exponentialized, as I like to say, and
exactly.
accelerated in the path that life was holding it for you to experience it as such. One of the things that is very challenging nowadays is to break through the fear of being seen. One of the
Yes,
things that I talk about in the community, as you know, is what I call the IHV, or the invisible human virus. We've all been afflicted by this one way or the other. And as you said, when you have a community of people who can see you, who can hold a space where there's compassion, and as cliche as it sounds, but it's not, is applicable here, love, respect, no judgment, everything starts to change. However, one of the biggest fears that people have is to, like I said, to be seen in that process. And one of the things that is essential for me as a creator of the community and somebody who participates there with everybody else side by side at the same level is how do we co-create amongst ourselves as a community, as a family, the safety essence, the safe essence of the space so people can really come to heal in the space. And as you know, that's a challenge for people thinking about doing that virtually. Can you speak to any preconceived notions you might have had prior to coming into a virtual space and what you experience that might have completely changed that notion that yes, this is possible?
yes. Well, I think part of this is I have to be honest, I don't think I had any preconceived notions. I think I didn't know really what to expect. I just knew, yeah, something wonderful was going to happen. I think that maybe there was a little bit of, well, I've done the gratitude thing before, but this is different. And I will tell you it's different because the key in all of this is, first of all, you have a beautiful tool called the SOMAP, which helps us lock into where we are feeling things in the body. What emotions are there? It can be good emotions too, happiness, joy. There's pain, maybe I'm holding the grief in my low back, from all these people passing, but this awareness of where we hold things in the body is so important, because if there's anything we need to let go of that's causing the pain, and pain is only a signal telling us there's something there that needs to be addressed. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. I'm your body. Love me. Do something for me, you know? So when we go there and we pay attention, and then we figure out what it is that we are carrying that we shouldn't be, and release it. But the key is then bringing the gratitude into the body and letting it fill us up. And then the healing sets in. That is the key. And that's the one thing that has been missing in all the healing modalities that I have studied, is the identification, the release, but then bringing in the gratitude. And that gratitude is the absolute key to healing. And what I have learned to do now is to love all parts of me, good and bad, to send gratitude to those parts that maybe I'm not happy with. And as I said earlier too, with you before this, I will sit down and literally send the gratitude that I have through my veins, through my arteries, to my organs. And you have stated too, we can tell our organs that are functioning well to support our other organs. And it does happen, and it works. I can tell you it works. So this gratitude, embodying gratitude, not just saying on a surface level, oh, I'm grateful for my home, I'm grateful for my son, but embodying gratitude, allowing yourself to really feel it at all levels of the body, down to the cellular level.
Yes.
That is the key to healing. And that is what has drastically changed my life. So I say thank you, thank you, thank you for bringing this amazing way of looking at things. It has changed my life, truly. And I plan, I continue it, and I will be continuing, and I will be back May 1st, as I said, for this next round of GL28, because the things that I've seen shift and change in my life, it's just been amazing.
Thank you for sharing that, Mary. One of the things that is really powerful as you experienced, and it's really touching, is when you were doing that cycle, we had a community with hundreds of people from all over the world. And we all got to experience true humanity in the program, in the community. We truly got to experience the connection with one another, the power of the human spirit supporting one another to heal, to transcend, to transform, to break through. We experienced miracles in
Absolutely.
every single cycle. I consider you a miracle in the program. Here you are with all the knowledge that you have, your life journey, having a really tough diagnosis that you were dealing with. And in a matter of essentially by the second week of the program, a lot of the symptoms had pretty much left your body. A lot of things happened that you created. You were open. You basically showed up to the experience fully. You became alive, and your willingness really healed you. But as you said, there's two components here which make up my equation that you've heard me say before, which is gratitude plus feeling equals
Equals healing.
healing.
Yes.
I, this was a download for me years ago that I've continued to evolve and figure out ways to continue to receive the message, to share it. And I like to say I didn't create that. This is in the field of awareness. And if you feel it, just like you have in your intuition, all we can do is just serve that bigger message that is bigger than us, and really to put it to the service of others. But the biggest revelation in that process, which you are a testament of, in your miraculous healing journey and the things that have come now that you're putting into practice with your own people that come to you to heal with you in the angelic light of alchemy, um, is the fact that discovering the feeling body and being able to not just acknowledge the quote unquote positive emotions, but to see them all as part of the same spectrum. They're just emotions, and really have this sense of allowance, embracing, forgiveness,
Yes.
compassion, and
Yes.
really not running away from those that we consider negative or very challenging or deeply wounding or hurting, but to embrace them and cater to them in the same way that we would just cater to joy, for example, or excitement, right? And you did that. Can you speak to that? Because that was a big shifter right there. Being able to have that map, the SOMAp that we teach in the program, where you physically have that you can pinpoint with accuracy what is the sensation and then start to connect with what is the emotion that is producing the physical manifestation in the body.
Yes, yes,
And that creates a revolution, like you call it. Can you speak to that?
sure. So what I found is that the more time I spend, first of all, let me back up. What I have learned through this process is that the quicker we identify what is going on in our body emotionally, whether it's pain, whatever, that is causing dis-ease or a concern or whatever, the quicker we can identify it and deal with it and release it and go into gratitude, the better off we are. It is when we allow this emotionals, these emotions or pain to sit in the body and ferment, we can find ourselves in trouble and being in a dark night of the soul, like I was in December. And I know better, but I'm human. And it was a bad time for me. I just, I had numbed myself down again for the second time in my life. So with the SOMAP, sitting down and literally taking pen to paper and writing down, okay, my low back, I'm holding grief here. My lungs, I'm holding grief. My heart, I'm holding, sadness for the loss of my pets.
Mm.
Identifying those areas and then going into a state of thinking about all I have to really be grateful for and loving my body. Also, forgiveness. That, this is a huge piece of it also. Forgiving ourselves, for maybe not doing what's best for us. You know, it all helps. But in bringing that gratitude in, it is an amazing journey because the body responds to it. And then it's the ripple effect. As we heal, as one heals, we heal all. It goes out into the world exponentially. And it's like the rock in the water. It's the ripple. It goes out and it touches all. And I will tell you, because I did this work, my clients have experienced miracles in their lives that um, they would call me up and say, "This has happened. Wow." I have shared this process with some groups that I lead because I want them to be interested in it and to learn about it. And I've also incorporated this also in my healing practice now. And so it literally has changed so many avenues in the way I operate and things that happen in my life. So, for example, not only did I have physical healing, um, we also work on the flow of abundance with this group.
Mhm.
And when we can get out of our way and allow the divine to work through us and allow the flow of blessings and abundance and gratitude, it's amazing what can come in. And I think this was after, yeah, it was after I was in the healing seat. One of my clients sent me quite a large check out of the clear blue and just told me she wanted to support my work and support me. Please accept the gift. And I just wept. Be- Sorry. I wept in gratitude because I knew how this happened. It's because I was in that stream of gratitude and somebody else came in to be grateful for me. I was just amazed. Um, I had another client who also had some financial abundance come into him unexpectedly. There were so many things, So this this all is placed into a container that is accessible for everybody. It's doable. It's a beautiful container of love and support. And when we navigate our lives through gratitude, it is life changing, it's life altering. And I can't say enough about it.
Mary, thank you for sharing that. That's profound. As we're coming close to the end of this gathering, I want to ask you, and it's something that people ask me, but Dr. Mario, is this program really going to help me? Is it for me? If I were to ask you, Mary, based on the miracles that you saw for those 28 days from hundreds of people in there, who is this for in your estimation?
Um, well, it is for anyone who truly wants to see powerful shifts in their lives. It is for anyone that's willing to step up and realize that they are worthy of receiving all of this beautiful work and these tools to navigate their lives. It's for anyone that is willing to dig a little bit deeper than just the surface and is willing to work to see some of the results too.
Thank you, Mary, for sharing that. Mary, one of the things that I want to ask your perspective as a woman, um, sometimes it can be intimidating for women because of the dynamics between men and women through the centuries to come into a space where the person who may be leading the experience is actually a man.
Hmm.
And the whole aspect of being vulnerable and opening as a woman to a man who's actually leading the community. And this
Yes.
is something that people have shared with me. And then they came into GL 28. Can you speak to that as a woman? Because there's a large
Yes.
percentage of our members who are actually women.
Yes. And what's interesting is that was never a concern of mine. I never felt that that would ever be an issue for me, but I know for some people it is. But what I will tell everyone is that he's not paying me to say this. Dr. Mario walks his talk. He has been doing this for years. He is sharing with us only what he has done personally. And so that is the beauty in this. It is that sharing with us. And also, you allow yourself to be open and vulnerable emotionally with the group. You share with us what's on your heart. You share with us what you're feeling. This is a totally different experience. It is not about the masculine, the feminine. It's about we are here together as a group. We are supporting each other. There is love for everybody and compassion. We are held with such respect and honor that there's no room for feeling uncomfortable. Honestly, that is the truth. So I share that because if anybody's hesitant, because of a masculine leading the group, it should never, it is not an issue. It should not be an issue. So if anything, I have never really looked at our group as masculine and feminine. We are one. That's the beauty in it. We are
Yes.
one through the sharing and the support of each other. It is beautiful.
Thank you for sharing that. One of the things that we continue to experience on every cycle, in your cycle, it was very, very compelling, was the aspect of truly experiencing oneness consciousness as
Absolutely.
we held space for one another. It was really, really powerful.
Yeah.
And I I feel very certain that that was one of the elements that was so critical and crucial for people to have the healing experiences that were held and had were had
Yes.
in the space in our community. And you were part of being one of those catalysts, Mary, for others to really jump in their own experience when they were ready, because there has never been an energy of you have to do anything.
No.
And maybe you can speak to that, because some programs, there's this sense of you have to do this or else, but that's really not the way that we approach our community and what we do.
Exactly. And yes, we are given prompts every day, what we call an invite.
Quick bites. Yeah.
Yes, to do things. But if somebody is not feeling up to it, you don't have to do it. If you get behind, you can catch up if you want to. There is no pressure. You can make this whatever you want it to be. It's up to the individual. And
Yes.
there is never any pressure for anyone to fit into a mold or do it a certain way. It evolves organically.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful, beautiful way to shift your energy and your life. That's
Thank you.
truly. And one thing too that became very profound to me is looking at, that when we are feeling stuck, when we are feeling blockages, it's because we are still hooked into our past and those old stories. And then when we are in that element of fear, we are projecting negativity and outcomes to our future. But when we come to center in the state of gratitude, we are in the moment, and that is where the healing can occur. And that's where it occurred for me. And this is the greatest thing I took from this. It's being in the moment in gratitude. That is where we heal. And so I give so much thanks to you for being who you are, for walking the talk, for doing this for years, and then sharing it with others because it is profound.
Thank
And
you.
we need to get this out to the world. The world needs this. We could heal so much of the chaos on this planet if we could get more people involved with being in gratitude for all of it. We, you know, too, every experience that we have takes us to where we are in the moment, and we have to be grateful for all of it because in those darkest moments, we can learn the greatest things. And that's what makes us powerful. And that's
Yes.
what also allows us to help others and to be supportive, to hold compassion. It's so important.
If you're joining us now, we have been watching another episode of Alive Partner TV with Dr. Mario Torres-Leon and my very, very special guest and esteemed member of the Alive community, Mrs. Mary Hiestand. And we have been really blessed with her generosity and her sharing today, as she has shared in very intimate details her life journey and many parts of it that for most would be impossible to go into those areas and talk about them. But her own power, her courage, and her willingness is so profound that this is why she's been able to do it so generously with all of us. Mary, is there anything that you would like to share as parting thoughts as we come to the end of this gathering and sharing?
I would just say that if you have any hesitation to join this group, be brave, take a step and jump in, and you will not regret it. It's an amazing group, it's an amazing process, it's an amazing way of looking at life that is life altering. And I would just encourage everyone to do this.
Thank you so much. You've been
Yes.
watching a Life Partner TV with Dr. Mario Torres-Leon and my very special guest, Mrs. Mary Hiestand. And today has been an incredibly profound episode in listening to the story of a healer and the story of redemption through healing and her life journey. If you've really liked this content and it's resonated with you, I'm going to ask you and invite you to join us in the Alive community. Click on the link below so you can do that. It doesn't cost absolutely anything for you to join, so you can receive all the content, all the different tools that we put out absolutely at no cost to you on a weekly basis. But if this has really been profound for you, I'm going to ask you for something that is more important, and it's not about me. There may be somebody or somebodies in your life, as I like to say in every episode, that if you share this with them, those people that you love in your life, this conversation, listening to Mary's words, her life, may be that bridge that allows them to have a much better life. You, in sharing that content, may be the person who is the catalyst, the agent of change for that person to have a much bigger life, a life of healing, a life of transcendence, a life of breakthroughs and new milestones. Not about me, not about Mary. You being at the center stage of being able to heal somebody else and make their lives better. If that is the case, please share with the people that you love in your life and be that for them. And please continue to come and visit us here when we have our episodes. It's such an honor to have you as one of our guests every time that we put a show out. Lastly, I want to thank my very special guest, Mary, for such generosity, for her time, for her vulnerability, and her courage to share this with all of us. so we can actually see ourselves in the mirror that Mary is for every single one of us, so that we know that there's hope and that healing starts from within, and it is indeed completely possible for all of us. Thank you, Mary. Until next time, have an amazing rest of the week, and I can't wait to welcome you on our next episode here in Alive Partner TV. So long.